And that's what a time. What a time to be a Michigan man, David.
They could have had both him and Cignetti right now.
It was a little bit of a vindication this week for me at a school that is quote-unquote a football school.
Yeah, I've said for the last few years that Michigan, when they fall forward.
You get back up after you're dealt some blows, after you take some punches in the face, and you do the best you can. And now I'm watching Michigan be the national champs in basketball.
David Cohn joins us. Always great to chat and let him say hell to the victors.
Yes, and that's what a time. What a time to be a Michigan man, David. Congrats on the national championship.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And, man, having to sit there in San Antonio in 2018 and watch Dante DiVincenzo just run up and down the court and beat that Michigan team in the final, it was a little bit of a vindication this week for me. But, yeah, congrats to Dusty May and everything this team accomplished.
Think about this, man. I've said for the last few years that Michigan, when they fall forward. And I mean that in a complimentary way. Dusty May had Indiana decided not to stick with Woodson in 2023. They could have brought Dusty May back to his home state. They could have had both him and Cignetti right now coaching both programs. Michigan falls forward and gets in. Think about that, man.
What a great comp that is for Dusty May and what he accomplished with Kirk Cignetti. Now, granted, Indiana was the losingest football program in the history of the sport, and they just went 16-0. I got to watch John Beilein build this foundation and play in 2 Final Fours and 2 national championships. But still, we're talking about a program that won 8 games a couple years ago. Dusty May comes in his second year, just like Kirk Cignetti did, and won the championship. And as someone from Indiana, man, that Indiana job must have been so attractive to Dusty May. But I'll tell you what, just like Michigan fans wish they could have gotten Kirk Cignetti a couple years ago, I'm sure Indiana fans are kicking themselves right now too. But yeah, what a time to be alive. And also it's worth noting that I don't think that Michigan basketball could land someone like Dusty May and to do what they did this year without the foundation that John Beilein helped establish. He was hired in 2007 when I was a sophomore at Michigan, and this championship was for him. It was for Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Manny Harris and Xavier Simpson and all the guys and the Fab Five, really, but all of those guys who helped reestablish the foundation of Michigan basketball, which is not something that's easy to do at a school that is quote unquote a football school.
Yeah.
Just like it's not easy to establish yourself as a hard-nosed, tough football program at a school that is quote unquote a basketball school. So again, congratulations, and I personally just hope this lights a fire under the football program now. We get Coach Whittingham to go get him one.
We're gonna talk football for sure, but how weird do you think it was for Juwan Howard to sit there during the Fab Five cast and be pretty silent the whole time that I was watching it for his part in that 8-24 season just 2 years ago, and now his alma mater winning a national title without him?
That's a really good question, but I think his success as a player offset all of that, and good on him too. Good on him for being there. And Jonathan using the phrase "falling forward" as a program, I really like that phrase, and that just speaks to the health of your institution. Whenever you're able to have a situation like Juwan Howard, who at the time I thought, hey, this is a risky hire, but this is a good risk, right? You're talking about someone who was a part of those Fab Five teams, a centerpiece of those, and had some coaching experience after his great NBA career as an assistant coach with the Heat. Bring him in, especially in an era where you're able to use the transfer portal and recruiting. The name of Juwan Howard in recruiting could be such a magnet to the program, and it just didn't work out. It didn't work out, and you have to move on, and credit to athletic director Ward Manuel for moving on. And in a similar situation with Sharon Moore. How devastating was that? Not just for him personally and his family, and I continue to pray for him and everyone that's involved in that situation, but for the entire community of Ann Arbor and the Michigan fan base around the world. Just absolutely pathetic and embarrassing what happened in December. And what happens? Athletic director Ward Manuel moves on from that and makes a fantastic hire with Kyle Whittingham. We just spoke to him on our program, Crane and Cone, last week. Everyone go check out that interview on YouTube. And so, Jonathan, I like that point in terms of falling forward. You get back up after you're dealt some blows, after you take some punches in the face, and you do the best you can. And now I'm watching Michigan be the national champs in basketball.
Hey, if you like the channel, become a season ticket holder for Hot Mic by clicking the subscribe button below and join the conversation in the comments section. Agree, disagree, we'll join you there in the chat. Now back to Hot Mic.
So the football side of things, Kyle Whittingham, and we just talked a little bit about the scandal that he inherited Is that still something that's a thing, or is it just all business moving forward, completely new people in charge, and it's the Kyle Whittingham era, and there's no sense of that with Michigan football right now?
Yeah, well, like I said, we talked to him last week, and it's just an intense focus. I mean, he gave us a very good interview, and we were grateful for that. But you could even see while talking to us, he wanted to be out there on the field in spring practice. That is where his focus is. And after a 20-year sample size at Utah and what he brings to the table, and just not just the physicality on the field on both sides of the football, but the seriousness with which he goes about his business, man, is that something that's needed right now in Ann Arbor. And, to answer your question about the institution as a whole or the athletic department, I'm sure there are still some things going on in terms of investigations and the order of operations and the timeline, with how everything went down. But as far as the football building goes, all new people brought in. And, any criticism that, Michigan hired a guy who retired from Utah after 20 years, he was ready to go hang the cleats up. To me, that was all alleviated when you saw not just the coaches who came over and joined him, but the players from Utah who joined him, and even got some coaches from BYU, their arch rival. You don't leave and follow a coach like that unless he still has a lot left in the tank. So I think he was a really solid hire, and this is a time when they need a really solid hire. We just talked about Indiana. You think they're going away? You think they're going away with Kirk Cignetti already has the confidence of a championship under his belt. Now the NIL money's really starting to flow in. You think the Buckeyes are going anywhere? They're chomping at the bit to go get another national championship. And then that sort of brings the SEC into the conversation. The Big Ten has responded to the SEC's dominance for those 13 championships in 17 years. The Big Ten has responded now. You don't think the SEC is going to have a response back to that? And this is what makes the college athletics writ large very healthy, in my opinion.
How does Bryce Underwood respond with new staff? And, you mentioned Indiana, Ohio State, and really it's Bryce Underwood playing a massive factor in whether or not Michigan's a part of that again.
Well, he needs to go be the star that we were promised, and you could definitely see the potential. There's no reason that Michigan should be starting an 18-year-old freshman, no matter how great of a recruit he is, right? And just with the timeline with Jim Harbaugh leaving post-championship to go back to the NFL and having no depth at the position to lean on. And granted, they just played in a national championship game, which means they're one of the last teams to play. Harbaugh didn't decide to leave until a week later. J.J. McCarthy doesn't announce, which he had another year of eligibility for the NFL, until a week after that. By that time, everyone's almost starting spring practice. That was 2 years ago. So, again, I'm not making excuses for the lack of depth at the position, because that's something you just can't get wrong if you're Michigan. But Bryce Underwood did, in fact, flip from LSU, and one of the main reasons was, I do want to start as an 18-year-old freshman. I can do this, okay? And so now that has already happened. That's in the past. To me, what needs to happen is that needs to be a learning curve that was gone through. He took his lumps last year, and I still think he performed well in many situations, took care of the football for the most part, except in games like against Northwestern and in the bowl game. But I think that he'll build off that with this new staff, and we will see the best version of Bryce Underwood. And that's what Michigan really needs. They need him to be the playmaker that was promised, and they have a lot of pieces on offense here to help him out. The running back room is going to be one of the best in the country. I think these wide receivers are going to be very exciting. You have offensive linemen returning. And so let's see what the coaching staff can do with his development and the play calling.
So Jeremiah Smith said he could get $10 million had he entered the portal. You mentioned wide receiver. I'm thinking $10 million for 1 year. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. That seems steep, but in this day and age, who knows what's real?
Well, I don't take any issue with him saying he could have gotten $10 million. I mean, if that's with what's happening across the country, I mean, hey, maybe he could have gone and gotten $15 million. The issue I took with what was posted was him saying, I could have gone and gotten massive money at $10 million. So the $4 million you're already making doesn't qualify as massive money. That just seems a little bit silly to me. And if we're just going to play a game of relativity here where, well, $4 million's not massive when you compare it to 10, well, then 10's not massive if you compare it to 15 or to $20 million. I mean, things are so out of control right now. It's insane. And maybe that's where the executive order from President Trump will come into play. I'm still not hopeful that thing will have, many teeth to it, but maybe it will at least get Congress and the NCAA to somehow combine and to enforce some of these rules and keep these things out of the courtrooms.
David, you played quarterback. When you were being recruited, did any quarterback coach ever ask you your favorite flavor of ice cream to see how decisive you were, to see if you could actually be a college quarterback?
I don't think anybody asked my favorite flavor of ice cream, which would have been cookie dough. I saw in the thing you're talking about, it was just binary between chocolate and vanilla, which at this point in my life, I think I'll just go with vanilla and keep things simple. But I did interview Coach Leach, rest in peace, one time, and he said something very similar about the quarterback position. He said, when I'm recruiting a quarterback, I want to take him to dinner and see when he's put to the test, is he going to order the steak or is he going to order the chicken? And it's not so much the answer of which one he orders, but is there any hesitation? Because if he doesn't know what he wants to eat that night, how is he going to be able to perform on 3rd and 8 when we need to pick up a first down? And I saw the ice cream thing this week was it kind of reminded me of that.
You know what I thought? I thought the coach is going to take the best quarterback available.
I think if
regardless of answer.
Yeah, to go back to Bryce Underwood, if he's recruiting Bryce Underwood and he really wants Bryce Underwood, I don't think if he said, I like a chocolate vanilla swirl, would have prevented him from offering him a scholarship.
If he likes two flavors instead of one.
He's like, you know what? You can't decide. Get the hell out of my office.
You know what?
Let's just play that out. Let's play that out for a second. You got Andrew Luck sitting across from you as a recruit, and you say, like, oh, man, I just want to see what's he going to do here, chocolate or vanilla. And Andrew Luck goes on a 15-minute diatribe on, well, I do like vanilla on Tuesdays and Thursdays because of this reason, but chocolate is really great on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The coach would sit there and say, man, what an answer.
Yeah, fantastic answer, Andrew.
Can you imagine, David, you've been around a lot of coaching staffs, and you're the quarterback coach, like this quarterback coach for Oregon, and you go to the head coach, you go to Dan Lanning, and you say, man, coach, I know his film is great, and we took a helicopter to go watch 3 of his games on Friday night, and he's a great leader and seems like a great kid, and he really dominated in that state playoff game that we went and watched him and evaluated him, but his answer about ice cream really got me tripped up, and I think we need to go. I think we need to go a different direction. Can you imagine that?
It's just not our flavor.
Around the boardroom and the meeting room with the coaches, that a coach brings that up about his position.
That's hilarious. I think the next day there would be an opening for a new quarterback coach position at the school.
Son, I don't know if this level's right for you. Would be the response from the head coach. Like, maybe go NAIA and look into that a little bit more.
Hey, when we take the wide shot, we can see your guitar. David, tell us about your music.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for bringing it up. I just, I love writing songs. I love recording songs. I actually released an album last year called Richest Man in Town, 12 tracks on that, very much steeped in Americana and classic country music. The album was actually produced by Dolly Parton's producer, Mr. Kent Wells, a Nashville legend here. And, with the release of that album, that's actually gotten me into some writers' rooms here. And I've been writing some songs, and hopefully those will get cut by some other artists, and hopefully some of them will get cut by myself and we can release something else. But I always keep the guitars very close because you never know, man, when an inspiration strikes to write a song, and it's just hopefully it's a part of my life for a long time.
The next 36 track album from Morgan Wallen, David Cohn's name will be on there.
Man, if I could get it, I see he released, the last couple have been like 36 plus. I'm like, man, can I at least get one cut here?
I know. Just get in that room. Just get one. You're set. Yeah. Good to go.
Hey, man, good to see you.
It's been great. I love living here in Nashville. I know you guys do too.
Absolutely, we do. And love Crane and Cohn. Tell the boys we said what's up.
I will, for sure. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining us. There he is, David Cohn.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Outkick Hot Mic.
Daily content and more at Outkick Hot Mic on YouTube.